Good evening, folks. It's time for some more development. As a first thing, I'm going to show you I was having an issue with the way that our dead animal was spawning. So, with that in mind, I did a little bit of changing stuff, and we now have it working pretty nicely, I would say. And we can tidy that stuff up later as well. So what we ended up doing was getting the mesh from the animal and getting its world transform, and then when we spawn the dead animal, we use that as the transform to spawn in. Okay, and that seems to have sorted out the issue. We did have another issue where it wasn't doing the animation of dying, but I've sorted that one out as well. Right, so if we shoot our thing, right, our goat is going to run away for a certain amount of time, then it's going to die, and it has actually changed at this point to a new blueprint, which is an inspect blueprint. Okay, as you can see. Okay, and it has fallen at exactly the correct spot. So what I was going to work on tonight was, and we're going to have to look at it here, right, is the weight that we are carrying. Okay, because that is going to affect some of what we're doing. Okay, so if we look at our inventory, and I'll drag this out the way, we'll click on something, and I think, hey Musty Bees, how you doing, bud? I think our best idea is to have it up here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have our weight carried here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to our character. Okay, we have main attributes here. Okay, how are you this fine evening, Musty Bees? So we have this struct main attributes. Okay, so we're going to add a new variable, and we're going to call it weight carried, and it's going to be a float. Then we're going to add another variable, and we're going to call it max weight carried. Okay, and for later we're going to say max speed, and we're going to say min speed. Okay, so our min speed is going to default to 100. I'm not sure what our max speed is going to top out to, but we can say, let's say 300. Our max weight carried is going to be 25, and that's going to be kilograms. Okay, so all of the things that we're going to carry are going to be measured in kilograms. Okay, now the interesting thing is we're going to have to do core temp, hunger, water, energy, and we're going to have to do maximums on them, but we can do that at a later date. In the meantime, we can leave that as is. We can have the min speed above the max speed, right? And weight carried, max weight carried, that's fine. Okay, so if we pick up something, we need to find out where we add it to the inventory. Okay, so in our interactables, okay, when we, let's say, weapon, okay, we add to inventory. Okay, and after we've added to inventory, why thank you Musty Bees, that's kind words indeed. So after we do this thing, which is the add to inventory, I'm just thinking of the best place to put this, right? And this is the wrong thing, of course. So if we go to weapon, we can actually go to the interactable item here, right? So if we go to the interactable item and we get the pickup item, okay, once we have done that, we can basically call the ref character, right? And now we can go to the pawn and what we're going to do is we're going to add a function and we're going to say recalc, say recalc weight carried. Okay, now I might need to do something a bit different with this, but we're going to do it anyway because this function will come in handy somewhere, right? So we're going to get the main attributes and we're going to get the inventory. Right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the inventory, right? Then we're going to do a for each loop on it. Okay. In here, we're going to add a excuse me. In here, we're going to add a variable called temp weight, and that is going to be float. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here and set this to 0. Right, and then we're going to add up what our new weight is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to break that. Okay, then we're going to get data table row, okay, and it's going to come from interactable items. Then we're going to break that struct, then we're going to grab this weight and we're going to multiply it. Then we're going to minimize that down and just say hide unconnected pins. Right, then we're going to multiply this by the quantity. Okay, then we're going to add it. We're going to get float plus float, and that's going to be temp weight in there. And then we're going to set temp weight. We're going to set that with this number here. Okay. Let's tidy this up a bit if we can. go there. And then we'll straighten this up. There we go. And then once this is completed, right, we're going to set members instruct. Okay. And the only one we want is the weight carried. Okay. And that's going to be set to temp weight. I'll drag this over a bit. What are you working on yourself, Musty Bees? And then we're going to set this after that. And that's going to be struct out. Okay. So, if we set our main attributes to view, okay, we can actually see this happening, hopefully. So if I press play, okay, and then I get our pawn, okay, and here we have our main attributes. So our weight carried is 0 at this point. For reference, that's okay, right? But we're going to go and pick up a shield. And it's not done it. Okay. Oh, yeah, because we didn't actually set it up in the other thing, because we hadn't created this function yet, right? So we can go back to here and say recalc weight carried. Okay. Now, we might be doing exactly the same thing after a use item, okay? Actually, not really, no, we're not, because you don't carry it. If you use it, you just use it, right? So, there's that. So, now we can test it. Okay, and this is getting us ready okay, wait a minute guys, get ourselves sorted out here. We need our pawn, right, and here is our pawn, and our weight carried at the moment says 0. And there you go. Right? Our weight carried is now 1. Okay? So, if we go and pick up the mug, we're now at 1.25. So that is all working perfectly. And now what we need to do now that we know that that's working, we need to do basically our inventory. And I don't seem to have it open. So inventory main. Okay. Now we can have a look at this. And I'm thinking either here or here. Okay. So we know where we're going to put it, basically. We've got a text box there. Right. And I'm going to add a horizontal box, and I know that this is all going to go horribly wrong in a minute. So I'm going to go horizontal box. And it's going to go there. Right. Then this horizontal box is going to have two texts in it. Right. So we're going to have that. And we're going to have that. Okay. And this is going to be... Hi Elhan, how you doing? I just typed Elhan. There you go. So that's going to be weight. And we're going to have that in normal. Actually, we're not. We're going to have this in the 2 kgs one, right? And then this one, just as a test, I suppose we're probably just going to want that in the same, right? And we're going to say, just for a laugh, just so that we can eyeball it, kg. Okay, and that's what we end up with. This might actually be better being carried. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that, and its position Y is 60. So we can basically do the same for this horizontal box, right? So position Y 60. Right, and then position X it's going to be fine whatever it is there. Right. For the most part, that's going to be let's make it 800 eh? For the most part, that's going to be the same number of figures. Right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set this up, right? So this here, we're going to rename this, and that's going to be txt weight, and we're going to do that. Okay. And then we are going to go into our graph. We're going to get our begin play. Right. And let's see if it sets up anything else here. That's buttons, filter items, so we don't really worry about that too much. Update details. Right, so it's going to be going in here. Ah, wait a minute. Yeah, that's when we click on something to view it. Right, and that's exit. And that's use. We're going to have to be doing something with this, which is fine. Okay. So, basically, we want to do a function, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say get weight carried. Okay, and what this is going to do we're going to need the reference character, right? And then we're going to get the main attributes. Okay. Then we're going to break it. And we're going to get our text weight. And we're going to set text. Right, and then we're going to need an append to the string, and that's going to be kgs. Then we're going to get weight carried, then that is going to go into here. Okay. Now, when we use an item or drop an item, what we're going to do is basically get ref character and recalc, and then run this again. This is day 12, I think. Is it day 12? Yeah, it's day 12. Okay, so what we're going to do is go back to our event graph. After we create the slots, what we're going to do is we're going to call this function, right, get weight carried, and that's us. So now, right, we can run over here, pick it up, go to the inventory, and we've got 2.25. Right now, I don't know what 2.25 is, but it doesn't seem right to me. Okay, does not seem right to me. So let's have a look at this. This is 1. Okay. I've got a colleague who did the level stuff. This island is just like a test island. It's just basically thrown together just so that I can test things rather than have to go into the real world and basically add stuff and remove it and add stuff. Well, you see, I did all the programming and stuff, right? So this is just, well, if you look at it this way, right? This is just a test map. It was thrown together in like half an hour, right? And everything inside the map is being done basically in about 12 days, right? I've done it in 12 days, right? So interacting with items, firing at goats, killing goats, picking up food and drink, blah de blah, all that stuff is working. Okay? Oh. Now I think I've put that in the wrong place. Right? Because I am an idiot. Right? So I'm gonna say it should go there. So we'll try that again. Now we know that our character, if we pick up the shield, should be carrying 1 kilogram. Okay? Because if we look in here at our pawn, that's our pawn, and we look at our main attributes, when we picked up, we got the weight carried, right? And that says 1. So when we actually do inventory, there we go, we've got 1 kilogram. Okay? So that is working perfectly. Okay? Now here is the interesting part. Okay? What we can do is, if the player uses an item right? What we can do is, give me a second. Let's just grab this. I do my ref character, right? Then I say recalc weight carried. Okay. And then I say get carried weight. Now if they drop it, I'm going to be doing the same thing. Okay, did any of you two guys see my earlier stream just by chance? Right, and if we drop it, we do the same thing. Okay. So we can't do this with the shield because the shield doesn't have a use as of yet. But we can do it with food and drink. So if we pick that up, right, and we pick that up, then we go to inventory, we have got 1.25 kilograms, right? Now if we pick the deer meat, okay, and we use it, we should see this drop. And there you go, 0.25. So our weight is working absolutely perfectly. Okay. And we can use this, and if we use this, bang, 0. So there you go. We now have our inventory working perfectly, and the fact that it works within our pawn basically means that when we calculate the new weight, right, we can recalculate the speed that we can go. Okay, because if you carry too much, it's going to slow you down, right? So musty bees, you're going to be definitely interested in this, right? Even though you might not use it, but I'm going to show you anyway, right? Right. Right, I'm going to ask you a few questions so you got to answer, right? How would you normally add an item into the scene? How would you normally do it? Right, so I'm going to presume that your answer is going to be something like this. You get your interactable items, you drag in your drink or whatever it is, right? You set what row in the data table it is, and then that's you set up, okay? But what if your designer comes along and says, Well, I don't know how to set up one of those items, and I don't know which data tables to look in to set a particular item type or whatever. Well, I've got the answer. Because I created what's called an editor widget, okay? And this is it here, right? And this is what it looks like, okay? So, and how it works is this. What I do is I run the editor widget. The designer comes in and says, right, I want a weapon, and it's going to be a sword, and I want it there, create. There you go. How's about that? Right? Okay. I want food. It's going to be deer meat. I want it, let's say, here on my dot. Create. And there's my meat. Thought that was pretty cool. So it saves like your designer or you searching for items in the data tables or whatever. You can obviously just close it and then it will not do anything. But yeah, that's what the stream earlier was. Me making kind of that. I take it you like that. Not normally you see stuff like that done. Oh yeah, the other thing I've done is, I think before you guys came in, we have our thing working where our goat dies and it turns into another item, which is basically the interactable item. Right, so I can go up to this and I can now pick it up. Right, so that has now become a different item entirely. Right, so it's no longer a wildlife blueprint, it has become a dead animal blueprint. Okay, so that you can then interact with it, because obviously this has got all, the goat has got AI and stuff and all of that stuff going on, but a dead animal is basically an interactable item like a piece of food or a door or whatever. Right, and that takes me on to my next point, which is we're going to start when we return from a 2-minute break, and that is going to be, I'm going to show you, right, that at the moment, right, this says use, right, the bed says use, right, everything basically says use. Well, I don't want that. I want each individual item to have its own specific word, right? So, for example, if we go up to this brazier, right, it just says use, right? Well, actually, that one doesn't. It says that, right? Because this one says use, right? But I don't want that. What I want is it to say light brazier or whatever the thing you would do. So this would say, because it's a door, we want this to say open, right? If it's food, we want it to be eat. If it's a drink, we want to say drink, right? And if it's like goat meat or whatever, or like an animal that's dead, we want it to say skin, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go and get a 2-minute break, have a cigarette. If you guys are enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe. Check out the description for Discord and links to Patreon and my previous game on Steam. And I shall be back in 2 minutes, folks, and we shall work on individualizing our different buttons, or sorry, our different words. Okay, so don't go anywhere, folks. I'll be right back. Okay guys, we are back, and I thought you might like that, by the way, Musty Bees. That was just a little sidetrack thing to do. Actually, you know what? I'm going to have a look at this for a second for a very good reason, right? Because there's one thing I don't like about it. Right? And that is that oh, we actually want the button here, right? Right, so oh yeah, you can do it with the button, or you can just right click on the map as well. But what I actually want here is right, if you've got an item selected, so say I was to create this item, right? I'm just going to create it with this because this is actually easier to do now, right? Right, sword, and it's middle mouse. If I do it, yeah, it doesn't do that. Right, you've got to use this create button. Actually, you know what? It actually, I think, created more than one. I think the right, no, it's the door. Right, so that's weapon. Yeah, we've got 39 actors, which is one more. Right, here's my point, right? What I want to do, right, is simulate this so that you do like a shift down to that. And that's what that actually did. Right, so that's actually okay. Right, but I want to know what that's called. Right, so that there's got to be like an editor thing that allows me to do that. Right, edit, it's not in there. Place actor, it's not that. Attached to, no. Transform, snap align, snap to floor, right? Snaps to floor, aligns with the floor. Right, so that's end and shift. I believe this one, if we look at it, shift and end, snap bottom center bounds to floor. Right? So I'm wondering what just end does. Not, it does the same, right? So I'm trying to figure out what the one I want is, which is basically do that. Right? So let's try that again. And it was snap align. Right, so this is align to floor. And that does the same. Right? So those two do the same. Snap pivot to floor doesn't do anything. Now that's probably because the pivot is in the same place, right? And snap bottom center bounds to floor. And that doesn't do anything. right? And a line. So those kind of all do the same thing. So I'm just wondering, right? If I get my item, right, and say snap, obviously not, a line, obviously not, under snap. Now I'm expecting this to be in the editor stuff, which it's not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get editor is it tools? Get asset tools, and it's don't think it's actually that. Right, so we're going to switch context on again. Get asset tools. Right, and then snap. Okay, align. And again, we're looking at the editor again here. Or we're looking for the editor. Okay, whatever. So what we got here? Utilities. Not a lot. Okay, so it's not that one. Actor asset. Asset tools. That's the get asset tools thing. Right, and it doesn't seem to have anything there. Actor editing. Asset. This, by the way, in the editor you can actually create assets, right? And you can do sort of all sort of wacky stuff. But it looks like we can't, for whatever reason, move it. Let's transform. Now, I'm guessing under add level to world with transform. Don't think so. Right, that's a bit of a shame. Alright, because what I wanted to do is give my designer, like, the buttons on this that they could align to floor, align to, you know, snap to floor, blah blah blah. But it would appear that you can't really do that, right? Or I wonder, right? I'm going to do one thing because I don't like the way one other thing is working, right? And it's this thing here, and I'm just going to say for one frame, right? And now this should work better. I'm gonna be mucking about with this for days just to get it to work right. Right, but yeah, you can see that, you know, that's much better. It's not leaving a trail, so it's fairly obvious what's going on. Right, so weapon, sword, and that doesn't do it. Crate. And there we go. Okay. So that all works rather beautifully. We're still on 39 actors because of this one over here. Okay. Anyway. So you can do cool stuff like that. So our next point was we were going to get our interactable items, right? And we were going to set them up with a word, a key word. So, with that in mind, we can go into our we go into our interactable items, right? And we can add a new variable. And interact text. Okay. And that's going to be a string. We're going to save that. Then we're going to test it. Now, have we got DT interactable items? And we're going to go drink. right? And deer meat is going to be eat. And we're not going to have anything for that or that or that. Those are just going to stay as use. Okay. And we might need in here to set this as a default to use. Okay. So we'll save that. We'll go back to here. And we've got use, eat, drink, use, right? So our deer, dead goat, is actually going to be skin. Okay, we can save that. Okay, and now when we come into our interact, right, this use is going to be txt interact text, and it's going to be a variable. Okay, then we're going to go to the graph, and I'm pretty sure we've got the item here, right? And what is that item? Ah, damn it. Darn it. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. What we're going to do now is we're going to say item data, and that's going to be struct interactable item. Okay, and then we're going to save that. So when we create this, when we create the W interact, we're going to pass then that text in along with the item, right? And that's going to be easy enough to do. We're going to expose on spawn, right? So when we come up to an interactable item, okay, it's going to be here. Okay, so when we overlap the interactable item, we're going to create this interact, right? We'll add breakpoint. No, we won't. That's not what we wanted to do. Right, what we wanted to do is refresh, right? And we've got now got our item data, right? And we're going to do this only there. That's fine. So all we need now is the other actor, right? And that's the BP base interactable. Okay dokie. But the good thing is we have the item data. So we can just do that, get the item data, and bang it in. Woohoo! Lovely jubbly. Job's a good one. Okay, And now we can go back to our interact. Right. Do we have an event construct? We do. We set these up, and that's all good. We get this item data. In fact, we probably want to do this first. Right? So we're going to break that. Then we are going to get our text, interact text. We're going to get that. Then we're going to set text. Okay. And then we're going to plug in our text there. And then we are going to hide unconnected pins, and job's a good one. Okay, so now, hopefully, when we go up to our cup, well, that didn't work. It says use, which is kind of awesome. I didn't plug it in, so I'm an idiot. Okay. Well, there's no accounting for idiots really, and I am one, so yep, there's that. There we go, drink. And we're basically overriding two of them at the moment, so we want to it's very difficult to see. Right, so we'll move that to there, and we'll move it back a bit. Right, we'll move this off center a bit. Move that to there. Alright, that'll be better. Play. There we go. Up that one. Drink. Eat. And we didn't set that up, obviously, because we're kind of silly that way. So we need to go to our DT interactables and select our door, and we say open. We save that. We've done our dead goat thing. And for our bed, we can say sleep. Okay, can save that. we can now try this out. So we hit it there, and we're lucky because it's going to be in a nice position for us. And now, oh, well, that's not so good. Okay, well, that's obviously working slightly different from the other stuff, so we're going to have to have a look at that. But that is a good one. So, oh. Right, okay. I think I know why the door. Well, no, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it does say use here, so it's not updated, I don't believe. Right, so that should be, if I was to bring that door in again, it would be fine. Right, but for the sake of testing, we need to get this out of the way. And it says open. We can press that and it opens. Okay, I need to check on our goat to find out what's going on with that, and that's because it's not spawning it from the correct place. Well, it is from the correct place, right? But when I spawn that animal, I'm going to close this down for now. Right, but when we actually spawn the wildlife, I do need to do a bit more work on this, to be fair. Right, but that's no excuse. When we set the status to dead, we spawn this actor, right? And really what we should do is find out what the use case. Now, the thing about it is this spawn actor, right? We could get item data. Okay, we can't get item data. And this is a dead goat, right? So in effect, interesting. It's a quandary, I suppose, this one. Because what I need to do is set up its default values, right? And it has got an it is an interactable item, right? So if we look at that, we have got a goat. Now, where did I put the dead goat? Well, dead goat is in the interactable items, right? Dead animals, right? So, in fact, we can just basically set that to skin. Right, and when we copy this over to all the other places, it's just going to be skin. Right, and that's going to be all good, I think. We'll test that in a second. Right, so we'll test that to see if that actually works. And that would pretty much be the easy way to do it. Right, we've shot it. Okay, but it still says use. Okay, now the interesting thing here is if we go into our dead animal here, right, we can see its skin. But for some reason, we ain't getting the same thing. Okay. Ah, that's because it's BP interactable item SK. Okay. This is because it's got a different right, okay. It's got a different interactable. Right. So if I do that, right, and then we go into the event graph and we do this again, you'll notice it's got the item data now. So all we actually need to do is pull in the item data. Right, the animals have got a skeletal mesh. Do you know how much the game will cost yet? I don't know. I think it's going to be... It's going to have to be like $19.99, $24.99 or $29.99. Right? I think that's going to be the target. It's not going to be full price, right? Because we can't justify that. Well, we could, because a lot of other people do it, but I think it's got a price point between $20 and $30. I think that's realistic. Okay? Right, so there we go, we've got skin now. Okay? And these things are going to disappear, right? So basically if you kill an animal, it isn't going to stay there forever, right? There's going to be a certain amount of time. Now, it's going to be plenty of time, right? It's not going to be like 25 seconds, right, to go and skin it, right? But there's going to be a certain amount of time, like maybe it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, where the skinned animal will be lying on the ground for you to skin and get the meat from, right? But it ain't going to lie there forever, okay? Now, this one should say sleep, but it doesn't, and that's because it's already here. If I was to bring in another bed, this would be fine, right? Now, we will have to check that particular case. Ah, damn it. Having said that, so we've got sleep, right? And she goes down to sleep. We are going to have to adjust these animations so that they actually do what they're supposed to do, but the functionality is there and it's all working, right? So again, most likely this brazier, or however you want to call it, is going to have use, right? So we're going to say light. Except I didn't. It keeps changing. Okay. So is that because our interactable items? Let's have a look, shall we? And that's going to be light. Save. And now it changes. Okay, so to get the effect again, we can now run around everything and we can open a door. We can sleep in a bed. We can light a brazier. We can eat that, and we can drink that. So that all works pretty darn well, I'd say. Now, there's the thing. We should actually, that should be open/close, right? So I'm going to click on this door. And that should be open/close. And that is because this thing, if we go to door, open/close, save that, and now you'll notice if we type anything, it just defaults to our data table, because on construct we set up our item data. Okay, so we'll check that one more time. Open, close. Beautiful. Now you could go the full hog here, right? You could do something really silly, like with doors. You could basically get the condition of the door, whether it's open or closed, and then set the interact to be open or closed, depending on what, you know. If it's open, then you say close. If it's closed, then you say open. But I think open, close, I mean, I think that's acceptable. And on that, guys, if you've enjoyed the stream, I'm going to call it there. So if you've enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, check out description for links to my Discord. You're welcome to join. Also to my Patreon, where you can support the channel and this game getting made. And you can also check out my previous game on Steam. And for absolutely zero cost, you could add it to your wish list, which helps it in the Steam algorithm. So with that all said and done, thank you guys for watching. I shall see you again tomorrow, probably around 3 after the France v Morocco World Cup semi-final. So I shall see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye bye for now.